Well, next here on Market Journal, it's our chance to focus on the markets. And joining the desk this week is Heather Ramsey with the ARC Group. Heather, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you, Bryce.
All right, well, we're chatting here on Thursday morning. Let's kind of size up what you've seen over the past 4 days thus far in the trading week.
It's been a little boring, honestly, compared to the last several weeks, last several months of trade. Been very quiet, and I think we're kind of sitting in this lull between, we had Outlook Forum, and then we had our stocks report, and now we're just kind of waiting for planning intentions from, just a report standpoint. From what's going on around the world standpoint, this week has been some pretty mild daily headlines, and so that hasn't given traders, commercials, farmers, a whole lot of anything to get them like kind of spiked and interested in trading or pricing grain. And so it's really been left to kind of the funds and the money flow right now. So been a little bit boring day to day. On the week, we're showing some positive improvement for corn on the week, especially I look at the new crop right now. That's really important to see. We're kind of hovering at numbers that don't really get you excited, but we've seen worse, I guess is the best way to put it. So day to day, not a whole lot of anything. Trend wise, I think it's really hard to find a trend when we don't have that fire and kind of sensation to get the money moving where we need it to be. Okay,
so you mentioned on corn, a little bit of positive momentum there. That said, as we talk about planting intentions, expecting a larger corn crop this year, and there's chatter out there in the industry, we could see even more corn acres here as the USDA numbers are out there, industry estimates. So how much more upside potential do we have for the corn market?
It's really hard to say with corn. Corn can be a very big buying opportunity from funds when they're looking for an investment, but also everyone is getting very quick to kind of back off any of these bullish trends we've seen, just because people are nervous right now. Like, is this a good investment? Should we be investing in the corn market? And when you mentioned this report that's coming here, obviously we're looking at higher corn acres versus last year. I feel like the market felt like it had really done a good job figuring in those higher acres. But as you mentioned, just in the last couple of days, we've heard some grumblings that maybe this prospective plantings report could find even more corn acres. I don't know how realistic that is to find even more than this almost 4 million acre increase that we're seeing right now from a planting standpoint. I do think that the corn market gives the illusion or the feeling that it wants to lean higher when it does get volume traded into that market. On low volume, slow days, we see it trickle backwards a little bit, but when we have interest in corn, it is trending a little bit higher. With that being said, you can look at a chart and kind of see where our top end has been here in the last couple months, and really it's, if we were to go back up and touch 480s, I'd be telling people, hey, let's take a look at this market. So we're a little ways off of that now. We're hovering about 25 to 30 cents lower than kind of where our top end had been from back in February. And I think that that's a really great spot as a risk manager to be looking at taking risk off the table for sure if you're in this farming environment needing to price some corn.
Demand has been pretty good for corn, both domestically and internationally. Not necessarily the case for soybeans.
Yeah.
As we look at the soybean complex, what's it going to take, Heather, to kind of light a fire and get some movement of the soybean complex higher?
There's some rumblings that in Brazil, even though this is a record crop according to all the numbers, that Brazilian basis offers to purchase Brazilian soybeans essentially are kind of climbing, and we're approaching 80% done in harvest and down in Brazil with soybeans. And in that case, when you just put your mind in, where am I usually at for harvest? If I've got a really great crop, I'm usually seeing that basis widen out and get weaker and back off. That's actually not what we're seeing in Brazil right now. So there's some rumblings that maybe those numbers are incorrect. Maybe they're overinflated. If that's the case, we kind of need that situation to come true and come to fruition, as well as lowered acres in the US, but we really need China's overall soybean demand, whether that's from us or anyone else, but their overall soybean demand to stay steady or slightly climb. So you kind of need this three-legged approach to happen all at once, where maybe Brazil isn't as record-breaking as we think it is, maybe the US acres do continue to still come down, and then at the same time, China's still demanding everything we thought they were going to be demanding. So I think that's a little bit precarious to say all three of those happen all at once, but that's really what you need in order to try and push this market. The outlier there is going to be soybean oil. If that continues to trend higher and really push on a premium standpoint, obviously you need soybeans to get soybean oil. So there is some correlation there, but from the grand scheme of just soybeans as a whole in that demand picture, you really need kind of those three things to end up in place at once.
Okay, let's get a quick word on wheat. There's always a lot of international discussion about the wheat market, but back here across the heartland, we got an update from USDA in terms of condition. You've got some numbers with us. How do things look?
They don't look fantastic. We've definitely seen a better wheat crop. We've definitely seen worse. But we're set up to really need some precip, some significant precipitation when you look at the main wheat belt, the plains area here. Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas for sure needs some moisture. The system that just rolled through, not going to amount to much. Going to really be limited on what was received. We're seeing good to excellent ratings between Kansas and Oklahoma in the upper 40 percentile. That's not very good, in case you were wondering. Texas being down below 30% good to excellent, not very good either. So we're struggling on a condition rating standpoint here in this early part of the season in the U.S. We're also struggling with drought in the Black Sea region as well as parts of China. And we're seeing some of those key wheat partners come to the table looking for offers on purchases that they may need to make. So we have some issues in the Northern Hemisphere that are really starting to gain attention. And we've seen the money actually pile into wheat a little bit here and go long, taking some speculative positions in that market. So that one's definitely high importance right now. And the weather is probably the single most important thing to that market at this point in time.